CBS, in affiliation with the Uranium Food Products Corporation, presents The Andrew Inman Show in full color, starring Andrew Inman, with Andrew Inman, Andrew Inman, Andrew Inman, and Andrew Inman. Also featuring tonight's special guest star, Andrew Inman. And now here is the star of our show, Andrew Inman. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello again, this is Andrew Inman talking. And I must say how exciting it is to bring in the new year with our own episode. You know, there are many ways people like to bring in the new year, you see. Some might try to open a bottle of champagne. Others might sing the New Year's anthem, you see. But I personally, especially because it's my own show, like to bring it in with my own joke. And so tonight, I've prepared to open my show with my own joke, you see. You see, I work in the food service outside of my own show. It's just sort of an extra way to pick up a little bit more cash, even though I'm the greatest comedian on planet Earth. But you understand that dealing with customers, sometimes people come in and say the most funny things. For instance, every single week, a man comes in and has a joke of his own. Now, of course, some of them are hit or miss, but one joke in particular, this gentleman tells every year, every single year, and he forgets that he told it the year before. But it's funny every time. He asks the question, when snow melts, where does the white go? And I think that's a clever joke, you see. But being the comedian I am, I had to come up with a response to this question. Understand? I couldn't let this gentleman have the humor to himself. So I took 3 years to think about it. When snow melts, where does the white go? And eventually, this year, I came up with the punchline, the perfect response. When snow melts, where does the white go? Now, naturally, I waited for the right opportunity to tell this joke. The gentleman walked in. He came up to the counter I was working at in the food service, and he asked me the question, when snow melts, where does the white go? To which I respond, the frost bites the dust. And I think that's an equally clever response, you see. But you know, I have a knack for coming up with responses before the punchline even occurs. You could give any joke to me, and I would still come up with a response to match whatever punchline may already be intended. For instance, one gentleman came up with a joke that perhaps other people wouldn't know the punchline to. But having the knack I do to come up with punchlines, I foresaw the punchline he was going to introduce. He asked me, what happens when you combine a car and a pet? Now, perhaps you don't foresee this punchline, but I knew that the answer was going to be carpet. And I think that's an okay joke. But being the natural I am at coming up with humorous responses on the spot, before he could say carpet, I said roadkill. And I think that's a clever response, you see. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, there are many ways we could bring in the new year. But this year, we won't just settle with jokes. In fact, music is a big part of the new year. And for that reason, I would like to introduce my singing star, Andrew Inman, who will sing a number for us. Give a warm welcome for Andrew Inman. Well, Andrew, it's so good to have you on the show today.
Don't talk to me, you big jerk.
Andrew, what's come over you?
Andrew, you make me sick.
Andrew,
Don't crowd me, son.
Andrew, what is the matter?
You had to hire that guest star, Andrew Inman, to be on today's show.
Well, of course I hired him. He's a natural-born actor.
Natural-born actor. He writes derogatory messages about me on Twitter.
He writes derogatory messages about you on Twitter?
Yeah, I can't stand the way he tweets me.
Now, Andrew, stop being silly. Just sing your song.
All right, you big louse.
Andrew Inman, ladies and gentlemen.
Now Clancy was a peaceful man, if you know what I mean. The cops picked up the pieces after Clancy left the scene. He never looked for trouble, that's a fact you can't assume. But nevertheless, when trouble would press, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, the Clancy, oh, the Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom, 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 boom. Oh, Larry was a fighting man, they all knew he was tough. He strutted round the neighborhood, a shooting off his guff. He picked a fight with Clancy, and there he sealed his doom. Before you could shout, oh Larry, look out, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, the Clancy, oh, the Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom, 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 boom. Oh, Hallahan delivered ice to Mrs. Clancy's flat. He'd always linger for a while to talk of this and that. One day he kissed her just as Clancy walked into the room. Before you could say the time of the day, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, the Clancy, oh, the Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom. Certainly was the most pitiful fight you ever did see when Clancy lowered the boom. Gee, that Andrew has such a beautiful voice. So majestic in sound. You know, I wish I could sing as good as him. He has such a great voice. Now, I personally can't sing with my head underwater. But I am musical in some regard. For instance, I play the violin. Now, I might not be the best player of the violin, but I do know I'm very good. Because every time I have a lesson with a new instructor, they never return after the first session.
But ladies and gentlemen, enough about my violin. Because tonight we have a real treat for you. This evening, we have our guest star, Andrew Inman. That's right, he's such a talented actor. Tonight, we are featuring him in our own version of that Abbott and Costello classical favorite, Who's On First? Give a warm welcome to Andrew Inman in our version of Who's On First. Well, Andrew, the new year has arrived and the baseball season is about to get underway. How exciting this is, Andrew. It sure is. And in spite of the confusion last year over the players' names, we have a whole new lineup this year. Well, if you ask me, it's a good thing the ownership did away with the former staff and made you the manager instead. You know, the entire team drove the fans crazy with their unusual names last year. Well, fortunately, you have nothing to worry about this season because we have a whole new lineup. That's great to hear. I can't wait to hear their names. Well, why wait? I can tell you them right now. Well, fine. Who do you have? Well, first up to bat, we have I'm on first, you're on second, nobody's on third.
Come again?
I said I'm on first, you're on second, nobody's on third.
Are you the manager?
Yes?
Are you going to be the coach too?
Yes?
Well, then why don't you tell me their names?
I'm telling you their names.
Well, then who's playing first?
No, you got it all wrong. Who was playing last year? I'm not asking you who was playing last year. I know he was. Look, all I want to know is why you're on first base. No, you're on second. Fine, why am I on second? No, I'm on first. Why did you hire nobody for the first two bases? Nobody's on third. We're not talking about him. Now wait a second. You told me you fired the entire team last year. That's right. Well, then who did you get without a confusing name? Well, we do have an outfielder. And what's the outfielder's name? I haven't gotten that far yet. Now wait a second. You have a pitcher? Yes. The pitcher's name. I haven't got a clue. Well, if you haven't got a clue, who's pitching? Now look, who is not pitching? Who was playing last? I'll break your arm if you say who was playing last year. What did you say? I said I'll break your arm if you say who was playing last year. Oh, that's our shortstop. Now cut that out.
Andrew will be back in just a moment. But first...
Friends, do you struggle to find time to cook your dinners? I am a stay-at-home mother who struggles to find the time to cook meals for her children. Fortunately, I found Uranium Food Products. Uranium Food Products come pre-microwaved. The perfect option for mothers who don't have time to cook their meals. Plus, if you're looking for the ideal last meal, Uranium Food Products is the right choice for you. Uranium Food Products, the ideal choice for a final meal.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we end the show, I just want to say how grateful I am to have had on our guest star, Andrew. Now, before we go, I just want to remind you that coming next week, we won't be having a show. We will be back, however, after the New Year break in 3 weeks. So be sure to stay tuned for that episode here on CBS. Thank you. Have a great New Year and a very good night. Thank you.